Welcome to the deep dive. Look, you're probably feeling it, right? This constant pressure. Cybersecurity just seems to get more complex every day.
It really does.
And if you're operating in a place like Nigeria, a really dynamic environment, keeping up with the threats, well, it's demanding. It's a huge challenge.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just the clever new attacks we're seeing. It's also the rules. The regulations are getting much clearer, telling businesses exactly what they need to have in place for security.
Yeah.
And, finding the right people, the resources inside your own company to handle all that, that often feels like, well, a massive hurdle.
Which brings us to this idea of a security shortcut. Getting a dedicated team to handle the heavy lifting, the cyber protection side of things.
Makes sense.
And that leads us nicely to something happening right now in Nigeria. Abatis Technology, they've just launched a new cyber NOC. That's a network operations center in Abuja. It runs on their CMC platform. And we really want to dig into one specific part of their offering today, CISO-as-a-Service. And crucially, why that could be a genuine advantage for businesses actually in Nigeria.
Exactly. Let's try and unpack the real world benefits, the strategic edge. What difference does a service like this actually make on the ground for a company in Nigeria?
Okay, let's set the scene first. The cyber challenges in Nigeria, we know globally threats are getting more sophisticated, right? AI-powered stuff, hybrid attacks.
Yeah, blended threats.
And ransomware. That horrible digital extortion locking everything down. Still a massive headache for networks everywhere. Lots of businesses in Nigeria have these incredibly diverse IT environments, sometimes quite old kit too.
Absolutely.
Servers, loads of IoT devices, point-of-sale terminals, ATMs, big telecom setups. Securing all of that must be complex.
You've absolutely nailed it. These mixed estates often include legacy systems, older tech, maybe not updated. And these systems, well, they have built-in weaknesses.
Like what kind of things?
Things like data being sent without proper encryption, or using old encryption that's just not strong enough anymore, like, SMBv1 or 128-bit RC4.
Right. Things attackers know how to break.
Exactly. And unpatched software flaws. Think Eternal Blue. That vulnerability is still out there on older systems if they haven't been fixed. These are basically open doors for attackers.
And it's not just your own gear you have to worry about, is it? Everyone's connected now, relying on third-party vendors. That adds another layer of risk.
Precisely. Third-party risk management. It's huge. Making sure your suppliers, your partners, have good security so they don't accidentally create a vulnerability for you. It's all part of building a secure digital ecosystem.
Okay, so against that backdrop, rising threats, tougher rules, complex systems in Nigeria, let's look at Abatis Technology's response. This new cyber NOC in Abuja, using their CMC platform, the idea is a local resource, right? One that gets these specific Nigerian challenges.
Yeah, that local piece is really important, I think. Having the NOC actually in Nigeria means they should have a much better feel for the threats targeting local firms, the specific regulatory pressures, the kinds of IT setups businesses here actually use.
And the CMC platform, that's the engine underneath.
Pretty much. It's the technology stack, the tools and systems that let them deliver the services effectively from that NOC.
Got it. And a key service, as we said, is the CISO-as-a-Service.
Yeah.
For anyone listening who's maybe not 100% clear, what exactly is CISO-as-a-Service?
Okay, think of it like this. You get access to top-level cybersecurity strategy, leadership, and guidance. But you don't have to hire a full-time, expensive C-suite executive.
So the expertise without the overhead.
Exactly. You get that strategic brainpower when you need it. It's flexible and often much more cost-effective.
Now, you mentioned the CBN guidelines spelling out CISO responsibilities. Can this as-a-service model really cover all those bases? Seems like a big job.
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
The CBN framework, it tasks the CSO with quite a lot. Overseeing the whole cyber program, developing security practices, recommending tools, reporting up to the board, making sure staff get trained, integrating cyber into overall risk management.
Right.
But a well-structured CISO-as-a-Service, especially from a local NOC, like the one in Abuja, yes, it absolutely can fulfill those functions. They bring the focused expertise to build and run security strategies tailored for Nigeria, advise on the right tools, provide the necessary reports, guide leadership. They become that function for you.
Okay, let's dive into the specific upsides then. For a business in Nigeria thinking about this, first off, expertise and experience. You're getting people who know the Nigerian scene, right? The threats, the rules.
That's a huge plus. They're likely familiar with the specific attack vectors used against Nigerian organizations.
Yeah.
They understand the nuances of the CBN framework, the Nigerian Cybercrimes Act, the NDPA, the Data Protection Act. That local knowledge is invaluable.
And cost has to be a big factor. Hiring a top CISO full-time is pricey, especially for maybe smaller or medium-sized businesses.
It really is. CISO as a service can be a much more affordable route.
Yeah.
You tap into that senior expertise without the full whack of an executive salary, benefits, the whole package. Think about, say, a mid-sized Nigerian company. Maybe they can't justify that high six-figure salary. This service gives them that strategic guidance, potentially for a fraction of the cost. Frees up cash for other things.
And it presumably lets the business focus on, well, its actual business, instead of getting tangled up in the nitty-gritty of cyber all day.
That's a major benefit. Cybersecurity eats resources, time, people, focus. Handing over the strategic leadership and oversight lets your internal folks concentrate on core operations, knowing the security side is being professionally managed.
Makes sense. And compliance. With regulations like the CBN framework getting stricter, having experts guide you must be a relief. Things like annual pen testing.
Absolutely. Keeping up with all the rules is tough. A CSO as service provider, especially one with local know-how, helps you understand your obligations and implement the right controls. They can manage things like that mandatory annual penetration test effectively, cost-efficiently, helping you avoid fines or reputational hits.
So it's not just about ticking the compliance boxes, though. It sounds like it encourages a more proactive security stance.
That's the goal, yes. A proper cyber NOC is geared for continuous monitoring. They use threat intelligence, basically, information about active and emerging threats to spot risks before they hit. And they help develop solid incident response plans, so you know what to do if something happens. Being proactive is always better than just reacting after you've been breached.
And being proactive, that naturally reduces the overall risk, doesn't it? Risk of breaches, financial loss, service downtime.
Directly. By finding and fixing vulnerabilities, putting strong controls in place, and having that rehearsed incident response, CISO-as-a-Service significantly cuts the odds and the potential impact of a successful attack. That includes tackling risks from old systems or weak third-party vendors.
Talking about when things go wrong, those CBN rules mention reporting incidents within 24 hours. Having a dedicated NOC team seems as though it would be critical then.
Oh, absolutely critical. They'd have tested procedures, the expertise to handle incidents quickly, professionally. They manage the response, the containment, and ensure that reporting meets the regulatory deadline. Minimizes the disruption, keeps the regulators informed.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly to the tech. Abatis' cyber NOC uses the CMC platform, and I know they have this quite different tech called the hard disk firewall, the HDF. How does that fit in? Can the CISO-as-a-Service leverage that?
Right, the HDF. It's interesting because it tackles malware protection differently. Instead of relying solely on identifying known threats, it works by effectively freezing the core operating system and applications.
Freezing them.
In a way, yes. It prevents unauthorized changes or programs from being permanently written to the hard drive. The core idea is pretty simple. If malware can't write itself persistently to the disk, it can't survive a reboot or establish a long-term infection.
So it's less about chasing known bad stuff and more about preventing anything unauthorized from sticking around.
Precisely. And it does other things too. It stops programs running directly off USB sticks, which is a common infection route. It also helps block living off the land attacks, where attackers misuse tools already on the system. And it's designed to resist tampering itself.
Okay, and what are the advantages of that approach, especially thinking about the CSO service in Nigeria?
Several key things. It doesn't need constant signature updates, the list of known threats. That's great for places where internet connectivity might be patchy.
Good point.
It's also very lightweight, has a small footprint, doesn't bog down the machine. That's ideal for older hardware or low-powered devices like many IoT devices. And, crucially for Nigeria, it provides protection for older Windows versions like Windows 7 or XP that Microsoft doesn't support anymore but are still widely used.
Right, those legacy systems we talked about?
Exactly. The HDF can significantly boost their security without needing a full, expensive upgrade.
So how does the CSO-as-a-Service team use the HDF? Is it part of their toolkit?
Yeah, they can integrate it strategically. It becomes part of a layered defense. Because the HDF provides that strong baseline protection, especially for vulnerable endpoints like legacy OS or POS systems, it can reduce the noise and workload for other security tools. This lets the CISO team focus more on higher-level strategy, threat hunting, and overall risk management.
And the CMC platform ties this all together.
That's the idea. The CMC acts as the central management console. It gives the CISO-as-a-Service team that single pane of glass, a unified view across the whole estate. They can see alerts, manage policies, pull logs from the HDF instances, integrate data from other tools. Centralized visibility is key for oversight and effective incident response.
Okay, let's loop back to those big, complex Nigerian IT environments. Servers, IoT, POS, ATMs, telecom gear. How does a CISO-as-a-Service working through that Abuja NOC really get to grips with the specific risks of each of those?
Again, it comes back to that tailored local insight. A team familiar with Nigeria will likely know the common weak spots in, say, older ATM models used locally, or typical security gaps in POS systems common in the region.
Okay.
They can then design targeted security controls, deploying the HDF on those specific vulnerable ATMs or POS terminals. It's about applying the right solutions to the known local risks, not just a generic approach.
And the potential fallout from attacks on these systems is massive, isn't it? Big financial hits, data breaches, services going down, reputation trashed, easily crossing those CBN reporting thresholds.
Huge impact, yes. So the CISO-as-a-Service provides that essential strategic oversight. They help define robust security policies, implement strong access controls, especially privileged access, who gets the keys to the kingdom, and ensure that continuous monitoring is happening across everything. That 24/7 NOC monitoring is vital for spotting anomalies quickly.
So that constant watchfulness, the monitoring, the regular vulnerability checks, the proactive threat intelligence from the NOC sounds like it's fundamental for managing these complex interconnected risks.
It really is. You need that continuous visibility. Plus, strong access controls and really buttoned down third-party risk management. These aren't optional anymore. A good CISO-as-a-Service prioritizes these foundational elements to build genuine resilience.
So let's try and sum it up. What's the core value proposition of Abatis Technologies CISO-as-a-Service from their Abuja NOC specifically for businesses in Nigeria?
I think the core value is this. It gives Nigerian businesses access to expert, locally aware cybersecurity leadership, plus innovative tech like the HDF. And it does this without the traditional cost and complexity of an in-house CISO. It's a powerful way to navigate the unique Nigerian threat landscape and regulatory environment, ultimately building a much stronger, more proactive security posture.
Yeah, it really sounds like it's geared towards helping businesses get up to speed quickly, understand what really matters for cyber protection, maybe have those aha moments about their own security, and perhaps crucially, avoid feeling totally overwhelmed by it all.
Exactly. It's about bringing clarity, bringing control, and hopefully bringing some confidence back in a pretty challenging digital world.
That's a great way to put it. And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. In this environment, fast-changing tech, rising threats, more demanding regulations, can businesses, especially in Nigeria, really afford not to have expert, localized cybersecurity support? What's the strategic advantage of having that deep expertise right there within Nigeria, understanding the local nuances? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.